Hello everybody, welcome to another Game Continuum video. Please like and subscribe if you like the content and so on. And I do love to hear from you in the comments also. This video is a little bit going back to my Atari VCS video. I've had a friend of mine who told me maybe I was being a little too hard on the VCS. I don't think I've been hard enough on it, to be honest. So I just want to go ahead and just go over a little bit of stuff here. There is a bunch of these consoles that have failed. You know, Mad Catz came out with one. Do we hear about the Mad Catz one? Not really. It's gone. I don't even want to comment on the one that you're seeing on the screen right now. The Amazon, you know, they're big. They've also have failed in this micro console market. Asus, goodbye Asus. Another Amazon. Oh, GameStick. GameStick is. I really, this is one of the ones I feel really bad about is the GameStick, because I actually like the idea that, you know, the stick goes in the controller and you could bring it anywhere with you, and then you could pop the stick out and plug it into a television. It's like the ultimate portable, you know, if you're on the road and you're staying in hotels, that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, again, failed. Oh boy, the Pixel Play. Let's quickly pass that one up. The JXD. Oh God, they're just getting worse. They're just getting worse. They're getting worse. Um, yeah. I can't really. I don't really want to comment on some of these because some of them are just so horrible. Oh, here you go. Here's the Steam box. We all know what happened there. Even though Steam is popular on PC, I don't think it's as popular as a lot of people like to believe it is. But it does have some popularity because really, there's no real like digital media format, you know, for Windows, and games for Windows really doesn't. You know, at least Microsoft is trying. I have to admit that they're giving it a try, and I commend them for giving it a try. And I think it's mostly because Steam exists. That's why they're giving it a try. So, and I mean, they're doing pretty good so far. Microsoft has made some strides in that aspect to compete with Steam in that manner. But it all goes to the fact that, again, like I said, these consoles, they don't last because of the simple fact they give up on the hybrid console variant, and that's what actually makes you sell a console. That's one of the key features of selling a game console nowadays, is being a hybrid media system. Hybrid media systems are more marketable, they're more friendly, they're more palatable to multiple groups of consumers, and you could make them available in any market. So, you know, limiting yourself to one or the other or something like that, just not going the hybrid route, is really, really dumb. And oh, the fun box. Uh, oh God. Oh yeah, the Ouya. That was bought by the Razer a while back. But you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back here. The fun box. Was it really fun? Was it? It just wasn't fun. You know, and a lot of people say I'm being hard on them, but I'm not. Let's just take a look here. Um, did you know that there's over 50 of these consoles that have failed? Over 50, right? I'm going to go through a list for all of you and out there that is just watching this. And this is why I'm kind of really trying to push Atari towards a hybrid media format, because at least a hybrid media format is going to give you a chance. Going with a complete digital micro console concept is not going to give you a chance, because there is over 50 cases of people that have failed, and some of them are big, huge companies, bigger than Atari. They got way more money. So let me just go through this list, just to, clarify it and get it going. On Live, released in 2010. This is basically when a lot of these consoles were starting to come out, was around 2010. On Live, gone. They are done. They are trying to sell their assets right now and their code. They don't even provide the service anymore. If you go to their website, half of the site doesn't function correctly. You can email one person to buy assets right now. So if you wanted to buy some assets, and you could buy like a Rolodex of like important people in the industry that you can contact. They're selling their Rolodexes and contact information. So that might be worth something, but I mean, no one's going to buy any of this tech. It's useless tech. The Co-Star by Vizio. Yeah, that came out in 2012. That was a utter failure. We have the Ouya, which is by far one of the most successful failures I've ever seen on the face of the planet, right? The Ouya made $15 million in venture capital. It made $8.5 million in just crowdfunding, right? So you had a company that had over $20 million to actually release a game console, and they couldn't even come close. I really think it's, I believe her name was Julie Ehrman, was the CEO. I don't think I would have, if I was releasing a game console right now, there's like a list of people I have on that I would have that I would not hire to market or get a game console sold for me. She's on that list. I mean, and it's nothing. I don't want anybody to say, oh, it's because you got, no, because there's many successful CEOs that are women and so on. No, it's because she just wasn't good at it. She was terrible at her job. There's multiple videos of her out on YouTube where she's doing interviews. You can see it with like Engadget. She was at GDC, a lot of different places, and she's like fumbling over her words. She's using ingratiating words, which kind of, I don't like people who go and they say, yeah, this is going to be great. It's awesome. We sold a lot. When you have somebody telling you that, that means those are all red flags. Red flags out the gate, right? Because if they're not going to be serious about their stuff, they are by far, they're trying to run a scam, whatever. But let's continue on the list here. After Ouya, we have the FX series by some Chinese company. And now most of these are from Chinese companies. FX series, gone. Pandora TV box by LC Smart, gone. The G Cluster by G Cluster Global, Broad Media, gone. PlayStation TV. PlayStation TV. Sony released this, right? It has been discontinued. All right. Out of all of these, that's the only one I would actually want to buy and keep. Just to tell you the truth. Just because the only thing that makes that worth getting is that it's compatible with like 80% of all the Vita games. That's what makes it worth having. That's it. That's totally it. That's all that makes it worth it. Let's continue on. GameStick. Yeah, GameStick came from Play Jam in Britain. Play Jam, rest in peace. You guys tried. Great try. for the Brits to really go ahead and give it a try, I really give it to them. The Mojo from Mag, we've already looked at that. I showed you a little bit of a picture of that early on. The Mojo. I mean, we could go back a little bit here. you know, and see here. Yeah. I don't think it has any mojo. There's just no mojo in it for me. One of the nice things about this is that I have to admit one thing though. Some of these aren't so bad. Like for instance, this Mad Catz one, the console itself, the concept of it, the whole point of it, it's not a hybrid media system. That's the failure. But at least the controller was actually half decent. A lot of these, the controllers were just really, really bad. All right, let's continue on to the list. We have the Flare Play. Flare Play. Well, that flared out, okay? The X-Streamer Media Console by Unicorn Information Systems. The only entry from a South Korean company. It's dead. It's so dead. Let's just be real. They weren't going anywhere. The Fun Box. Oh, we showed you the Fun Box. Let's go ahead and get to the Fun Box here real quick so we could see the fun of the Fun Box. Yeah, that looks fun. I mean, it is fun. Is it? I don't know. All right, let's continue on to the list here. The TE by Time Top. That sounds like it's going to be terrible. The G series by Sobor Mokova Technology UGI Electronics. You had 3 manufacturers in the hands, in the cookie jar for one console. Yeah, that worked out. Fire TV by Amazon.com. Yes, Amazon. Amazon's Fire TV. We've all heard of it. Let's just be real about it. It's only good for one thing, and that's to watch movies and say, "Hey Alexa, can I watch Ghostbusters?" Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing to see there. The gaming thing was just really bad. Continue on to the list. T2 by TCL, The Creative Life. They make great TVs, don't make consoles. The Tron by Huawei. This was so bad, it didn't even come out. That's how bad. It's considered vaporware. Right now, that's where the Atari VCS is. It's in the vaporware aisle because we don't think, a lot of people doesn't think it's going to come out. I don't know if it's going to come out, but I mean, the Tron, okay, the AK, right, by I'm going to screw this name up. The Kuji Cool, the Kuchiku Company. Let's call it the Kuchiku Company. All right, the AK from the Kuchiku Company, released in 2014. Dead. So dead. The iDong. With a name like iDong, how can you possibly go wrong? Dead. The X8. Oh boy. That's a disaster right there. The Shadow Stick 3 by Baidu. No, didn't make it. The Somax by Somax. Well, it's so gone. The Lexibox television. Well, Lexi didn't work out so well. Alexa did, but not Lexi. I don't know what happened there. The UT by UT Starcom. Well, as you could tell, I'm going to keep going through this list, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to get amazed at the fact that you're going to be like, I haven't heard of these, or wow, they're dead. The X18 by Dynamate Technology. The Time Box by Time Box. You know, that's actually kind of a neat name, the Time Box. But it didn't do anything. The Nexus Player. The Fire Stick. The Fire Stick TV, which had some gaming capabilities. Also, not really used for gaming anymore. Basically, it's a glorified Roku, which, you know, it's kind of funny because Roku plays some games. It's really kind of sad. If anybody's going to buy that technology from On Live, it'd probably be either Amazon or Roku, you know, just to, you know, have an easier way to stream their games. The G-Box by Gia. The One Up by the Langshu Century Company. The Mars Game Box 1 and 2. Well, I guess they figured out the Mars Games Box 1 was so bad that they had to fix it in the Mars Game Box 2. Unfortunately, they never released the Mars Game Box 2. It's classified as not even as vaporware. It was just like a small press release that they were like, yeah, we're going to, you know, the Game Box 1 did so well, we're going to make a Game Box 2. It didn't work. The G1, G2 by Big Bird, venture capitalist firm. Personally, you know, obviously they couldn't get the Sesame Street on this one. Big Bird, I guess they tried in 2014, but failed. Let's move on. Oh boy, we got a big list here. The Zevo, the War Chief, the Razer Forge TV, which is basically what the Ouya is right now. It's purchased by Razer, and now it's this monstrosity, which that's a total failure. The Shield, we've talked about that. The Via Play, oh boy. The Play Droid TV, oh boy. The MHT Game, there. You know, Flare, I should say Flare Entertainment here, worked together with Play Jam to make the Flare Play 2.0. Well, we know what happened there. That didn't work out so well. Apple TV. The funny thing is a lot of these that I'm mentioning that have like these games, they're just not, they're not doing so well. They're just, you know, even the ones that, you know, are around, I don't think anybody's playing games on them like the Apple TV. They're probably using it for like iTunes, you know, to watch movies and play some music, but that's about it. But let's keep going. Let's just keep going. We're almost at the end of this list here. The Mini Station, the Fly Digi, the Zkoga, oh boy, the KL 2020, the Eagle Box, the ZRRO 00. Let me tell you that one was so bad that they knew that basically they said, hey, we're gonna make this, and they're like, they seen how the market was going in 2015, and they decided to cancel the entire project before they even wasted any more money. They did the smartest thing out of most of the people on this list. The Gem Box by Gamefly. Yes, the people that rent games like Netflix tried to work with a company called EM Tech and make a streaming style player. Well, didn't work out very well. The Skyworth Mini Station. Oh boy. The Questus by Snakebite. You know what? They're kind of just waiting for, you know, the the stuff to settle down. The Mi Box, the Game Pop, the Z6C. The list goes on. I'm not that has to be over at least 50 of those that I had to read off to you. But that's the point. The point is quite simple. These things are done. They're a lot of people have bought these, tried them out. They're nice novelty items. If anything, you would really want one of these to really succeed for the indie game market. But the indie game market also runs off of the other thing too, physical media. For instance, we have people like the 8-Bit Guy releasing, Planet X2, and people are buying it because it's physical media, and you could get a digital version to run on a Ultimate 264 thing that you could put on an SD card and so on and play it that way. But it's nice to buy it because you get all the floppies. There's a cassette tape in there and so on. So that's a nice little tidbit of that. And there's the Halo 2600. So it's not really like Halo. It's more like Robotron, but with Halo characters. But I mean, there's little things like that where a lot of home brewers are, bringing out some actual physical media too. It's not all about digital media. And this is where, these hybrid consoles really, really stand out. And this is what a lot of these manufacturers, obviously, well over 50 of them, have failed to understand what goes into these. They've not really cared enough. And I really, really would like the Atari VCS to actually, succeed. And I do want them to succeed. And I do really think it would be great if they did. But, in order for them to succeed and to stay around, I think they would have to at the very least, be a system that's gonna be around. Really try. I can't stress it enough. I've seen multiples of these systems. Well, and like I said, I have a list of well over 50 of them that have failed miserably. And some of them have like huge backings of huge corporations. For instance, Sony. You also have TCL. That's a huge one too. We also had, Steam, the Steam box. I mean, you wouldn't expect the Steam box to fail, but it did. It did. And Valve knows it failed, right? So, and then you have companies like Amazon, right? They pretty much just kind of shied away from the game side of their boxes and focused on what was, people bought their box for, which was to watch movies and to play music on. And it's the same with Apple. And Apple is huge, right? So, I understand the argument of, yes, these consoles are there. Yes, we want the Atari VCS to really succeed and be out there. But we also want the Atari VCS to be around longer. We want it to actually stay. And I I don't want to hear about the oh, there's not enough room for another game console. There is. Historically there has been a lot of room for game consoles, right? There has always, for a long time, there's always been a fourth and a fifth place, and the fifth place console usually is like, they pick up the scraps, whatever. But there was always room for a game console. And, in order for a game console to be successful, it just has to have a few things going for it. One, these are the main things you have to have going for a game console to make it successful. Number one, hybrid media system. I can't stress that enough, right? You have to be able to support digital. You got to support physical. You have to have an engaging online store, right? That's going to get people in there and, a community to keep people there. So those are like some of the three major things right there for just, that side of it, right? For the hybrid media style, right? Then after that, what's the next thing that you have to have in order to make a decent console? You're going to have a decent tactile interface device, controller of some kind, as you will. It has to be decent, and it has to be functional. It can't be like the Ouya controller, right? The Ouya controller was terrible. Terrible. It barely functioned correctly. It lagged. The buttons were really, they would actually jam on you after playing for so long, right? It was poorly designed, right? And there's many poorly designed controllers out there. You have to have a decent controller. It doesn't have to be a good or a great controller. It just has to be decent, right? So there's that, right? So interface is another thing, all right? Not to mention, you have to go ahead and think about other aspects of your console, right? You want to be able to reach the most amount of market penetration, right? So in order to do that, you're going to have some choice exclusives. Choice exclusives. That's going to actually make it for your console. You're going to have a couple exclusives. Even consoles that didn't do well had exclusives that defined the console. Let's take the Atari Jaguar, 64-bit Jaguar machine, right? It had some great exclusives that exist to this day. For instance, Rayman. That was the first time you got to play Rayman, and is by far one of the best games on the console, right? And that was exclusive to the Atari Jaguar, right? Think about like all the other game consoles that have exclusives. Sega has their Sonic the Hedgehog. Nintendo has Mario and their whole genre of games of, Zelda and so on, right? You have to have a couple exclusives. Just get a couple exclusives that are only going to appear on the Atari box, or the Atari VCS, I should say, and that's it, right? The next thing, right, and this is one of the most important things, right? This should be right under number one, hybrid media, right? This one you definitely do not want to skip on, Atari. You have to control your content. You can't have people shovel crap onto your system, right? Because at that point, everyone will know you as the shovelware system. And you'll have to, and as far as like what I told you in the number 2 section there was to have like an engaging online store and, a nice social network and everything to go with it. That's nice and all. But, you have to take a cue from Microsoft where, they put the indie stuff in its own section and put the stuff that they really want to sell, like the triple A's and the stuff that, you know, they feel indie games have graduated towards, to their arcade. So, you know, you have like a section where it's AAA, and then it was like, Microsoft had like the arcade thing, which was, you know, this is like the cream of the crop, and they got the seal of approval. And then you had the indie games, which were, you know, anybody could put it up there and rate it and so on. Ouya, Ouya had a lot of problems with the shovelware. As a matter of fact, they had a game on the Ouya that was just Rain. Not Rain like on the PlayStation 3, not the Heavy Rain game. That would have been nice, but no, it's literally raindrops falling, and that's it. There's nothing to the game. It's just a raindrop. It's a screensaver. It's literally that. You had you had like really bad Flash games, like like really, like what were those? You know, I mean, there was a lot of stinkers on the Ouya, tons of them, and it even turned off a lot of the AAA developers, right? And some of these AAA developers released games on it and didn't see any profit from it, right? Nothing, right? And they even gave up on it, right? You didn't see Square Enix port over anything else to the Ouya. You didn't see, after what Sega released, that was it. They were done. I mean, that's the problem that you're going to run into with these consoles. And Atari, I really would like you to take a look at the history of some of these consoles and some of these big names, and you're going to see why a lot of these failed, right? And they failed for all four of those reasons I just outlined. No hybrid media capability. They have nothing to engage you into a social online network. Nothing, right? And, you know, that's only like a drop in the bucket. That's nothing really, right? They didn't have they didn't have good controllers, right? A lot of them had poor interface devices, really poor interface devices. Some of them try to capitalize on you know, the trends of the day with, like, look at this, like a sort of a Wiimote and a camera. I don't know what was going on there. How did you want to interface with this system? I mean, it was just a lot of terrible ideas. So if you don't want to end up like the Ouya, Atari, you have to really think about this, and think about this really good. I can't stress enough, hybrid media. Create a controller that's, you know, comfortable and good and doesn't lag and doesn't break down within a week of owning it. That's going to be paramount. So far, those controllers that you guys released out there, they look nice. Hopefully they play nice and they're durable. And I'm really excited about the Atari Lynux concept. I wish you guys would talk more about that, because I think that's a great selling point of the system, right? And most of all, control the content. Have some sort of quality control when it comes to the content. That's the main thing, right? If you can have quality control over your manufacturing of your product, the quality control of the games that appear on your product, and then after that, you want to go ahead and go with the hybrid media system, which would be great for indie and so on, because like I said, a lot of indie people, out there, a lot of indie developers like to make their little physical media package, and you usually make a nice little big deal about it, and that's how they sell it. And I think that would be a great way to get it out there too. Um, so you have to really, really kind of take this into consideration, Atari. So I hope that this video really, really did help you, and I hope somebody from Atari is listening on this one, and you guys look into this. As far as like everybody else who's watched this, let me know what you guys think in the comments here. Um, you know, I've outlined over 50, roughly 50 of those consoles. There's way more. There's way more. But you know, there's not one of them that was a success. And if anything, I want the Atari to come back and be successful. In order to do that, they have to make some changes in how they're going to market this console in the long run. Because this micro thing is not going to work. It hasn't worked. If large companies have failed, and they failed well over 50 times, and that's just 50 times that I found, right? Over 50 units I found. Suppose the 100-some units out there that just appear, that are knockoffs and so on, those are going to be abysmal, have to be abysmal failures too, because those are the ones we never even heard of, right? So when it comes down to it, hopefully Atari takes a step back, reevaluates what they're doing, and says, hey, you know, just cramming what's left of an NVIDIA shield in a box with a wood grain front and slapping our logo on it is not going to guarantee us big bucks. Let's go ahead and just take a step back, and let's think about adding some sort of physical media, some sort of like ROM cart, some sort of DVD drive, something that would be cheap. Although optical would be the cheapest way to go. So yeah, use like some sort of optical drive, a DVD drive. You know, if you slapped a DVD drive in there, it's probably only going to cost you like, you know, an additional $10 maybe. You know, that's about it. I mean, for crying out loud, you want to charge $300 for the system. The least you can do is get a $10 DVD drive and slap it in there and say, here you go. You know, really, really evaluate what you're doing here, Atari. You have to really, really think about it, because all you're doing is you're going down a road where it's going to guarantee you pretty much a bad outcome financially. It's not going to look good for your CEO. It's not going to look good for any investment group that is making Atari, that's keeping the Atari name alive. It's just not going to look good for a lot of people, right? Because we know as gamers and as consumers, we've seen this fail multiple times. And one of the things that is very nice about this time with the Atari VCS is that people love the Atari name. They have a lot of fondness for the Atari system itself. It's almost as fond as people have. It's a fondness that people have for like the Amiga, the Commodore, and so on. And that kind of fondness is why a lot of gamers are being very vocal about it and being out there and saying, hey, this is going to flop. And some of them are not articulating themselves by giving some good reasons. They're just citing, hey, you know, the Ouya was a piece of junk. You know, the Ouya was a piece of junk, and I do agree that it was a piece of junk. But the thing is that, you know, in Atari's eyes, they probably only see the Ouya as the only successful failure. What they're thinking is that, and this is what I think they're thinking at Atari is that, well, the Ouya got $20-some million. Well, heck, we could probably get double that easily just off of our name alone, even if we do fail. And this is the problem. Ouya is the only successful failure because none of the other ones that I've read off on this list have come close to that evaluation or have come close to that type of money coming in, right? And a lot of them were way better than Ouya. The Steam box, better, but failed and didn't make hardly no money. You know, you got a few other ones out there, failed, did not make anything. You know, I can't stress it enough. So hopefully somebody out there, you know, especially in the Atari world, listens. And as always, thanks for listening to my little runoff rant. But as always, please like and subscribe. And I'd like to do more videos like this more often. And the more you guys like and subscribe, the more often I can actually go ahead and spend time to make videos like this. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my crazy rant.